Hi, this is Marty with FLIR Security's TCX Training Department, and we're here today to talk about CaseBuilder. It's an application in Latitude that allows you to collect all things associated with one incident and put them in one spot. So you can see on my tree there, we didn't have the CaseBuilder application installed in Latitude, so I'm going to take care of that right now by coming to Add Remove Programs, and I will change Latitude or modify Latitude to add the CaseBuilder application. It just wasn't installed on the initial application. So I'm just going to modify right here. Go ahead and click Next. Normally I would back up the system configuration. It's good practice, but this is a training environment, so I'm not going to do it. Now you can see CaseBuilder is not installed because there is no check next to it. The things that you want uninstalled, you uncheck the box, and the things that you want to install, you simply check the unchecked box. Here is the CaseBuilder application. We are going to now add it to the Latitude system. It's going to install here shortly. There it is. You can see it doesn't take very long. So we'll go ahead and close this window down now. And now let's go ahead and take a look at a very important step. This is Windows Services. This is something that you have to pay attention to, otherwise CaseBuilder will not work when you try to save components within it. So let's go ahead and make this a little bit bigger so you can see right here. Now you'll see right about in the middle here there is a thing called the Distributed Transaction Coordinator, sometimes referred to as Microsoft DTC. This needs to be on, otherwise when you try to save components in your CaseBuilder, it will fail and you'll wonder why. And this is the answer to it right here. So you do need to make sure that this Windows service, the Distributed Transaction Coordinator, has been started. So I'm going to go ahead and make it automatic, start it up, so each time Windows fires it will work. So I'm going to go ahead and hit apply and then finally OK. And now you can see that it is started. So we're good to go. So if you ever run into problems and you're trying to save components in CaseBuilder and it fails when you try to save components, that's your answer right there, Distributed Transaction Coordinator. Let's go ahead and log into Latitude now so we can now add that CaseBuilder application to our physical view because it's not in there yet. It is now available to be added because we just modified the Latitude system in the Add Remove Programs. So let's come right down here and you can see here is the CaseBuilder server that I'm going to add to my system. Let's go ahead and come over here. Let's just call it CaseBuilder server for now. We could put in a description here below. We do obviously need a network address. My system is an all-in-one system, so I'm just going to use the 192.168.0.25. Now before I click Save, we do need to have a path for our CaseBuilder application. You can see up here that server or IP / the path to that location. So we do need to first do that. So let's go ahead down here to the Windows Explorer and we will create that actual folder. Now, in the real world, if you're in a distributed environment with a lot of control center machines, you may need to map a network drive to make this folder available to all control center users in your environment. Let's go ahead and just create this folder right on your C drive. Again, keeping in mind that we need to make sure this is a folder that is available to all control center users, so you could map a network drive, for instance, instead of putting this on your C drive. If you have an all-in-one system like me, of course, this will be good because I can reach it. So let's go ahead and click on Sharing, and we do want to share this folder. Again, just like we do when we map network drives, it's a similar process. So we're going to let everybody have access to this, and we want to make sure, once we add them, that they do have read and write access to this folder. Let's go ahead and share it. Now once we share it, we actually get the address in the similar format that we just saw back in our CaseBuilder tab. So I'm going to go ahead and copy this address, which is the path to the CaseBuilder folder that we just shared and made it available. And I'm going to go ahead and close this down and put that path into the field right here. Now, once this is in here, we can go ahead and hit Save. Let's go ahead and test the path, and there it is. It passed successfully. We have write access to that folder now, and that's what we need so we can store our contents in that folder. Now, the database is there, the metadata DB, a bunch of the credentials are here as well. Once the configuration is done, however, and you can see it is now active, this is basically all we need to set up in the Admin Center application. Most of the CaseBuilder creation, or all of it basically, is done in Control Center with just a couple of different things that we need to know about. So once Control Center opens, you see there's a couple of new things that you didn't see before. Down here in the bottom, we have a CaseBuilder query pane, so we can query for CaseBuilder things. And we also have a CaseBuilder navigation tree, which is different than the normal one. So let's go ahead and take a look at the top. We can add a new case. We can open an exported case. We can add various components, which we'll see. We can save, delete, export, and undo. First thing obviously we need to do is go ahead and create a new case. So you can see it right here. In a very simple configuration, let's just go ahead and call it test case. You can see there is a description field, there's a serial number that's created, the case time, the creation time, etc. And these custom fields are down here. I probably should have shown you that in Admin Center. It says custom field 1, custom field 2, because I didn't make any entries in the Admin Center side, which I'll go back to and see in a second. But whatever you change those to an Admin Center, that's what the header for this would be. It could be, you know, shift time, supervisor's name, whatever it is. Here's the fields down at the bottom that I neglected to show you on that CaseBuilder tab. Once you set these custom fields, whatever it is you put into these custom fields, that's what it's going to show up in the Control Center when they're creating each case. So these fields, you just put in whatever you like. Let's go back here now to our Control Center application so we can see the fields down at the bottom we were just referring to. Like I said, instead of saying custom field 1, it would say whatever you put into that field. For instance, ticket number, case number, internal case number, whatever it is you want to have these fields show, they'll show there instead of the words custom field. So let's go ahead and take a look now up here at the top, or excuse me, down at the bottom. We can have our query pane. We can look for files, we can look for different URLs, we can look for snapshots, and we can add all of those things into the case itself. I'm just adding a file here. It's from our Latitude certification class. It's just a Control Center help file, but you can add any file that you like. We go ahead and hit save, and you can see the event pane popped up to the bottom to show me that I have saved that component in my test case 1. So you can see there it is. It's now listed in the tree, the Control Center help file that we just mentioned. Let's go ahead down here, however, and let's query for a clip that we can also add to the case itself. Obviously, it would most likely be the incident occurring on a camera. So here's the results just on a very basic search. I'm going to go ahead and double click and open up one of those results. Just like you would do in the real world, you find your video, the beginning and the end, and once you determine what that is, it creates this little caliper thing here, and we're used to right-clicking, and this is where we would export the video from. We could lock it as well, but we're going to add it to a case in this instance, and it's going to take that little piece of video right between the two left and right end and the beginning and end, and add it to my case right here. Now, the laptop that I'm using right here has a very low resolution, so you can see I've lost the ability to see at the top. So I'm just going to close that down and move this over so you can actually see the things that are included. Now, I have my file, the Control Center help file, and I also have the clip. Let's go ahead and close this down. Sometimes when you have really low resolution laptop like the one I'm using right here, it can cause it to get a little bit bunched up. But what we've got here now, we should be able to overcome that visual, and there we go. All right, so you can see the CaseBuilder navigation tree includes the 2 components that I've added already, the file, the clip itself. I could also, from the clip, add a thumbnail. I could add a URL even. So let's go ahead and take a look over on the left-hand side to add a URL. It's one of the final things that we can actually add. We can also add additional things here, like a URL, for instance. Now, keep in mind, if this is an offline thing that you take and put on a USB stick or something to bring to court, the URL address may not work, right? So this URL can be added. I just wanted to show it in action right here. I'm just going to add the entire URL here so you can see it does add URLs to the incident itself. A lot of times in jails or in places like that where they use CaseBuilder a lot, they'll have access locally to this URL, whatever it is. It could be a recorded file, it could be anything at all that you want to add. So let's just go ahead and hit save, and you can see all these things now have been added to the case. Now we need to figure out, well, down at the bottom we can query for different cases as well by case name or serial number, which is automatically assigned. We can also choose to query just by the person who created the case. We can put a description in here, wildcard, Boolean, and then of course the start and stop time. But if we just hit go with nothing in those fields, it's going to look for all of our cases that have been created, and you can see there's the one that we just created. So now that it exists, and now that it's there, let's go ahead now and come back to our desktop, and we will create a folder, basically, or not create necessarily, but we will go to that folder that we talked about, and we're going to take a look. There's the CaseBuilder folder. Here you can see this is the actual case that was created or saved, basically. Snapshots, which I mentioned, documents, which we put in there, clip, which we put in there as well. If there's the document itself within there. Now, if you look in the Eclipse folder, you can see this is the DVT clip that's been included with that case as well. So now if we just go back out a little bit here, we can see the CaseBuilder folder. And again, this CaseBuilder folder, whatever you're using, has to be accessible by all of your control center operators. So now finally, let's go ahead and take a look at what we do with it now that we've saved it on our local machine. We need to be able to export that file. But first, let's go ahead and look at two other things in the tools and options to be aware of. And you can see as soon as we go into tools and options, we do have a CaseBuilder section down at the bottom. And these are just background settings that you could have if you want to export a bookmark. It's just showing you it's 10 seconds before and 30 seconds after. Shows you your lifespan, which you can set as well, so it'll delete after that period of time. And also to make sure that it's not too long, it does have a limit, or an upper limit basically, for the length. And if I want to include the player as well, because whoever I'm sending this to does not have access to Control Center, well, of course, they would have to have that as well. So let's now export, and you can see how easy this is. On my desktop, I'll just export it out, say it was a USB stick or something that I was going to bring to court. And let's just call this, let's make a new folder, and we'll call this CaseBuilder Exports. And just hit OK. And you can see it has exported the case, test case 1. Now, where did it go to? Well, out on my desktop. I'm not sure how that's still called new folder 1, but you can see that's a new folder that was not there before. I missed the naming structure, but here it is. Right? I don't know why it doesn't say CaseBuilder Exports, but here's my test case. It's zipped up so you can see the whole thing. And then this, of course, is the quick control center that we sent along with the export.